All right. Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody had a nice holiday, nice weekend. Um, I sort of had to step away from the internet and sort of hit reset in my life. So I feel brand new and just want to deal with this subject. It's being talked about again in some circles, and you got the same old tired arguments being thrown around, and I want to chime in on this. Good to see everybody after a short hiatus, and let's get into it. Shout out to ABQ Girl, Viking John, Lady, Dwex, Party, BK Born in the building, Buster Gundo in the building. Now I'm going to talk about two stories that surfaced in the past few days of pit bull owners. And these pit bull owners are mentally ill people. I'm talking about the people in these stories. They're mentally ill people. Now, of course, you can decide for yourself, but it's hard to deny. Right? Bricka, Mr. Payne, Serena. This took place in Harlem. Man with a bat and pit bull goes on a rampage in a Harlem restaurant, chokes woman, stabs two staff. Now, this is all unprovoked. Now, what I want to ask is, why is it that pit bull owners are always crazy? Like I've said, you have to have a mental illness. What did Judge Judy say? She said the same thing. People who own these dogs are crazy. And it's really that simple. And they prove that they're crazy by owning them. You got to be crazy to own them. But have y'all noticed, people with pit bulls, in general, they're always crazy. They're always edgy. They like to risk their life in other ways. This is usually the case with pit bull lovers. They're usually the types of people to take foolish risks where there's really no reward, where they just get off on risking their life and other people's lives. That is what gives their life spice. You know, it makes life interesting for them when there's some sense of danger. But you notice these people, these are usually mentally ill people. This is not just some random person. This guy is clearly mentally ill. Look at the story. This man waltzes into a restaurant with a baseball bat, a pit bull, and a sharp object. 3 different weapons. Were they not? These were weapons. And just like, we consider guns deadly weapons, so should pit bulls. And that should be a big reason for their regulation. Right now, they're unregulated. So he walks into this restaurant. It's called Teddy Bear's Bar and Grill. on 2nd Avenue near East 112th Street. The Crusaders in New York probably know where this is. It happened at around 11:30 p.m. He walks into this establishment and just out of the blue starts choking a 29-year-old woman with the baseball bat. Unprovoked. Okay. He's crazy. He's crazy. So, two men who are working at the restaurant tried to help the woman. And this guy stabbed both of them with an unknown sharp object. So he walks in, starts choking the woman. Two guys try to help her. He stabs both of them. Okay. 35-year-old man was stabbed in the chest and his back. So they tried to run away, and he stabbed him anyways. This is a mentally ill person. And people like this can walk into a shelter and acquire a pit bull, a deadly weapon. And he managed to flee before the police arrived. Police are asking now, I don't know if he's still on the loose, but this man is clearly mentally ill. Clearly. It's like, how does stuff like this happen? How? Another reason why pit bulls should be banned. And the owners of those pit bulls, they should be examined. We should use the ownership of pit bulls to identify the people who are a danger to society. It's like, okay, you were excited about terrorizing the neighborhood. That's antisocial. We're about to examine your brain. Okay? Because you still might be a threat to society. Especially if we take your pit bulls away. Now you don't have a way to intimidate people and scare people on a daily basis. So you're going to go through withdrawals. So, we're going to keep an eye on you. But this is a dead giveaway. I would have known that this guy was mentally ill simply by his possession of a pit bull. Not a baseball bat. Plenty of sane people own baseball bats. That wouldn't have been the giveaway. Or a sharp object. I don't know if this must have been a knife or something that the man had. That's not what would have told me that he was mentally ill. It would have been his ownership of a pit bull. And that's always the case, man. When you examine these people closely, you see that they're endangering not only themselves, but a lot of people. They know it and they don't care. Now, that was a simple story, but that's one of the two stories that I wanted to talk about. Okay, this surfaced just a few days ago, 23rd. This story surfaced yesterday. This story is crazier. This is even crazier. Now, I believe it involves two more mentally ill people, but it's a different type of illness. Maybe. Couple plotted to stab dog breeder in the stomach in a dead puppy revenge attack. Look at the subtitle. Michael Kingston and Chelsea Rees wanted to make the dog breeder suffer. How many of y'all read this story? Boy, oh boy, this is something straight out of a horror movie. And it's really give you an idea of how crazy some of these people are. My goodness. So this couple plotted to stab a dog breeder in the stomach in a revenge attack after the breeder allegedly sold them a sick puppy. Okay, now this girl, she fell asleep when they were supposed to stab this woman. She fell asleep, so he did it by herself. She fell asleep and missed the stabbing, but her boyfriend, Michael Kingston, went without her and plunged a knife into the victim when she opened her front door. People, boy, oh boy, they bought a puppy, 3 puppies. The puppies got sick and died. So they together plotted to stab the woman in the stomach as revenge. Can't make this up, people. It's worse than that. They planned to stab the breeder 13 times. 1 stab for each puppy in the litter. There were 13 puppies in the litter. They bought 3 of them, and the 3 died. So their plan was to stab the breeder who sold it to them 13 times in the stomach as revenge for those 3 that died. They just said, hey, we're going to stab her an extra 10 times for the puppies that we didn't purchase. Okay, hey, you decide for yourself if these are mentally healthy people. Now, like, what are you doing for a living? When you're sitting up and you're thinking of stuff like this, what exactly do you do for a living? Do you work for a living? If so, is it really your bright idea to throw your job out the window? You probably go to jail, get evicted. Now you don't have a place to stay. You don't have a place to work. All because you were mad about some puppies? Scary stuff. Okay, these are lunatics. They bought 3 puppies, litter of 13. Dogs cost a total of, what's it, 2,450, is that pounds or euros or something? Within days, the couple said one of the puppies became ill. And when they contacted the seller asking for help with the vet bill, she said she was in Birmingham. And the puppies died the next day. Look at what they said happened to the puppies. They said the puppy's stomach exploded. Stomach exploded? All these weird things happen to dogs because they're mutants. That's what happens with mutants. Weird things happen to them. Stomach exploded. It sounded like it had worms. Okay, its stomach probably started to expand because of the parasites, and maybe it got worse over the course of a few days. I don't know, but a stomach explosion, that doesn't sound normal. Okay, That don't sound normal. I mean, okay, let's slow down here. You are that upset? You're willing to go to prison? You were that mad over some puppies dying? Y'all both decided this? Okay, so this is not a case of one person who's not thinking clearly. This is a case where there were two minds at work, and they mutually came up with this idea to stab this woman, to knock on her door, and when she answered it, to stab her. And that's what this guy did. This guy said, okay, my girlfriend's asleep, I'll go do it myself. And he went, knocked on this lady's front door. She opened the door, and the lady said he was had his hands in his pocket, and then thumped her in the throat, which caused her to stumble backwards. And then she put her hand on her neck, and then she said she saw the silver object in his hand. And when she removed her hands from her throat, she saw blood. So he just knocked on the door. She answered, stabbed her in the neck. Stabbed her in the neck. These are the same people who upload all these doggy photos and videos and send all these threats to us for not being dog lovers. This is your people of high morals. Let's kill the breeder. She sold us some sick puppies. What in the world? Yeah, crazy story. But, you know, are these people well? Should they be in possession of deadly creatures? We make sure people like this can't purchase guns. You know, we got laws. Hey, you can't purchase a gun. Don't you think it's worse if it's a pit bull or multiple pit bulls? No regulation whatsoever. Let me share this crazy story. This is what we have to put up with. This is why I say you have to treat the great outdoors like a battle zone. It's like a battle zone, like literally. It's a war zone. You can't just go out walking. You can't just enjoy the great outdoors. This dog lover found that out. Y'all might have seen this story. Surfaced a day or so ago, I think, where this woman was attacked. Now, I don't feel no sympathy for her mutt. Okay, but this is a good example of what I'm talking about. And especially if you're a dog owner, like what type of deluded world are you living in as a dog owner? And you're not,
a terrifying pit bull attack in
you don't have protection. Listen to this.
Muldoon on the North Gas Line Trail earlier this month that has left a woman and her dog shaken. Elena Sims has a story as the pair recovers 3 weeks later.
And then I'm sorry, Bear. I'm sorry.
That's the sound of one of the strongest tasers you can buy.
Okay, now, y'all familiar with this taser.
Weeks later.
It's one of those baton tasers. Okay, but you see the lady, she has injuries right now. So she's lucky to be alive. But the attack already happened. And when this happened, she did not have this thing.
And then I'm sorry, Beer. I'm sorry.
That's the sound of one of the strongest tasers you can buy. It's the lengths Carla Jo has to go to after surviving a brutal dog attack walking her own dog on the morning of December 5th on the Gasline Trail. She used to walk this trail with her dog, Bear, almost daily. Now, it's hard to shake the memory of what happened on a day that started out like any other.
We were coming back, and Bear's beside me, and I see a pit bull that's just running down the trail, and I could tell that he's unleashed, no owner, no anything, and he makes a beeline straight for Bear.
But changed her life forever.
He takes Bear down, and he's just all over him, and I'm kicking him, I'm hitting him, and I had spikes on the bottom of my boot, and one final time I hit him in the face, and that's when he released Bear. But then he turned around and lunged at me.
That wasn't the end of it.
Okay. Listen. I don't want to hear your sob story about your mutt. Now, granted, all dog owners should be against pit bulls. But this is the same type of dog that has attacked a whole bunch of other people. You know, I'm not feeling this. You are not in a position where you have moral authority, because you have this dog, and this dog, if it snaps, tries to attack someone, you're not going to be able to control it. You're not. So you're endangering people too. I don't understand why people, or how people can get up here and do what she's doing and not feel guilty herself. Yeah, you may not have a pit bull, but you still have a dog. And just like somebody else's dog attacked you, your dog could attack somebody else. So no, you can't sit in this position of moral superiority. I don't think so.
About the pit bull hurting someone else's dog, or worse.
If it had been a child, they'd have never had a chance. You know, he'd have probably killed them.
Oh, it would have probably killed a child. Okay,
He'd have probably...
What do you think your dog would do to a child? Huh? She says she walks this mutt like 3 miles a day or something like that. She had to walk like 5 miles after she got attacked, because the pit bull went after her dog, and when she tried to fight it off, the pit bull went after her. That's why she got injuries. And this took place 5 miles away from her home. She said on the way back, the 5-mile walk back home, she said the pit bull attacked her and her dog 3 more times. A total of 3 times. Can you imagine? It's like, really? You walking 5, and you an old lady? You an old lady walking with a dog, which is a pit bull magnet. And you walk 5 miles away from the home, and it looked like it's snowing. What type of world do you think we live in? This is a big part of the job, is getting people to understand that they're in a war zone. You can't just do stuff like this. And you see, she learned the hard way. Now she got a baton taser. Only after the fact.
He killed them.
3 weeks after the attack, Carla Jo still hasn't been able to return to work, running her cleaning business.
And look at how they position the camera to make this hideous, disgusting looking mutant the center of attention. No, dog lovers. This is not the look of a true animal. And I don't respect them as no true animal.
Else's dog, or
Get
worse.
out of here. That's enough. So this is not that kind of a world. Everybody should be against pit bulls. If you're a pit bull advocate, then you're among one of the crazy people in society. Okay, it's really that simple. It's really that simple. Now, there was this other story. I reported on this story at some point in one of my live streams where 11 people were attacked by a dog in Hamilton. And I guess they arrested the owner. But my thing is, have they even pointed out whether or not this was a pit bull? Ashar pointed this out, and they never mentioned the breed of this dog. Even though they've been talking about this for a while now. This story has gone viral. Uploaded 3 days ago. Already almost got 70,000 views, this story. And they are avoiding the breed like the plague. Now, I haven't watched this one yet. Now, maybe they exposed the breed in this
11 people attacked by a dog on Hamilton's Barton Street. Police allege a woman let her dog loose and encouraged the animal to attack people. We spoke with one of the victims today.
Okay, another mentally ill individual. Where some woman just let her dog loose and encouraged it to attack people. What kind of dog do you think it was? Okay, what is this? Okay, my volume might be a little funny.
It happened outside the Stop Bar on Barton Street East near Ottawa around 7 last night. I spoke to a couple of people who were at the bar last night, and they tell me the woman who owns the dog was denied entry, did not take that very well, and they say she then released her, what they believe was a medium-sized, quite young pit bull, and instructed it to attack.
There you go. There you go. Another lunatic pit bull owner. Y'all notice these people always doing crazy stuff? Why is it never anti-dog people who engage in behavior like this? You know, they want to talk about us like we're the bad guys, like we're the sick people, we're the violent people, we're the people who promotes, mistreatment. Stop it. They're always the ones violating other people's rights. People have a right to safety. We all paying taxes. Okay, we all contribute to society. We have a right to safety. These people violate that right.
Anybody in sight. Krista Partito was one of those innocent bystanders. She says she was just walking home when she saw her neighbor sitting inside her car.
I was talking to my neighbor, and she was asking me if I wanted to get in the car. And by the time I looked back over, the dog was right by my side. It grabbed a hold of my backside.
Partito says the dog was relentless.
I got back up, went around the other side of the car, and it got me again on the other side.
She eventually made it into the car with the dog still clinging on.
I finally got into the car. The owner had to come and pull the dog off of me. I got into the car, and then we saw the last guy get attacked.
In total, 11 people were hurt, many of them needing to go to the hospital for stitches. First responders were not spared. Police say the dog continued to show aggressiveness towards them. Tasers were eventually used to subdue the animal, and it eventually died on scene. The dog's 32-year-old owner has been arrested and charged with 6 counts of criminal negligence causing bodily harm, 4 counts of uttering threats that cause death or bodily harm, and assault with a weapon.
Man, why isn't she charged with 11 counts of attempted murder? I don't want to hear these these petty charges. What was this? These were deadly attacks. The dog's intention was to harm. Okay? These are never accidents. Never. The dog's intent is always to harm. That's not an accident. My goodness. Now, as you all know, these are terrifying stories where this burns in your memory. It can traumatize you. This kind of stuff can traumatize you. The younger you are, the worse. The better chance there is you'll be traumatized. And yet, when was this? This was uploaded 3 days ago. Pit bulls right now are looking real bad in the United States. They are looking bad, really all over the world. This was uploaded 3 days ago. This is a recent story. But do y'all know that this story, I mentioned this somewhere, was also uploaded 1 day ago on Inside Edition. 1 day ago on Inside Edition. And already it has over 53,000 views. I think I mentioned this article in the members area. Pit bull comforts children in Ukraine traumatized by war. With as much turmoil as these creatures cause, why does this go on? And why is it so unchecked? And where do these teachers and principals get off? Who do these people think they are? Oh my goodness. For these people to be so arrogant, to bring pit bulls around other people's kids. Mind blowing. What in the world? This is crazy.
A special guest perked these kids right up. Vice, an American pit bull, visited a support group for children in Ukraine who are traumatized by the war.
Boy, oh boy. Oh, man. Boy, oh boy. This is some sick stuff right here. This is some sick stuff right here. Now, I don't know how many of you saw that. I want you to focus your attention onto something. Let me slow it down. Do y'all see this child right here? Here, let's go full screen. Right here. This is her head right here. She's sort of on her knees. Is her foot her head? Look at what she's doing. She has the dog wrapped around her arm. Do y'all see that? She's now laying underneath the dog. Literally. Her hand is right here over the dog's mouth. Do y'all see that? I see that. She's basically wrestling. She's basically wrestling with this pit bull. Now, what did I say was the real reason why they bring these dogs into around these kids? It's to brainwash them. It has nothing to do with stress, nothing to do with trauma, nothing to do with none of that nonsense. This is their attempt to numb children to the truth about pit bulls. It's a way of miseducating them. A huge disservice to society. I mean, it's real simple. You're teaching them that something that's deadly is actually harmless. You're lying to them. You drug these things up, bring them into class so that they behave in a way that none of the other dogs out in society behave because they're so drugged up. And you deceive them and make them believe, oh, you can just run up and start wrestling with any pit bull. It's a pit bull. And you got a toddler that just runs up and starts wrestling with it. So that's what they're teaching inside these schools and libraries and whatnot. That's what they're doing behind closed doors when they bring these things around kids. Just like I said they were doing. Boy, that's enough. That is enough to make you call off work and go up to the school. Right there on the spot.
For these young ones who have seen things even
Wait a
adult.
minute.
The war. The group offers psychological counseling and rehabilitation for these young ones who have seen things even adults shouldn't have to experience. Some of the kids have parents fighting the war, and others have lost parents.
Now, like I said before, how do they know that there were not some kids in that room who were already traumatized? Well, any one of them could have been attacked by a pit bull. Maybe one that looked just like that one. What are they supposed to do? Just sit there and be traumatized and try to play it off because they know that that's what you want them to do? They're just supposed to get over it. Oh, you were traumatized. Oh, you were attacked. You had a near-death experience. Oh, get over it. It's a dog. You cannot hold anything against a dog, not even a deadly attack.
Who are traumatized by the war. The group offers psychological counseling and rehabilitation for these young ones who have seen things even adults shouldn't have to experience. Some of the kids have parents fighting the war, and others have lost parents.
Notice how they're talking about this as if this is the reason for the dog being there. As if the dog is the solution for all this. Oh, they've seen things even adults shouldn't have to see. And that's why this dog is here to cure them. Oh, my goodness. Make it stop.
It will take time, especially since the Russian invasion of Ukraine is entering its 11th month. But for a little while, the children were able to forget about the war and play with this lovable animal.
This was uploaded by Inside Edition yesterday. This ain't no old video. This is a Pit Nutter video uploaded by Inside Edition yesterday.
Guests like Bice remind these kids about life's little pleasures, which can be hard to find in Ukraine today. This rehabilitation center in the suburbs of Kyiv was originally set up to support people affected by the Chernobyl disaster. And its important work is especially necessary.
This is worship. This is bona fide worship. Where they force kids to gather around and sing praises and go through these rituals of praise and honor and worship. This is very sick cult behavior. Very primitive, cultish, backwards, cavemanish, nasty, dumb. This is low IQ stuff. And it's genuine low IQ because it has nothing to do with income. Many of these people, they make a decent living, which goes to show it does not take intelligence to make a decent living.
Affected by the Chernobyl disaster, and its important work is especially necessary now. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Mara.
This does nothing. This does nothing but ensure that mutilations continue. That's the only purpose this serves. It serves to get people killed. Killed and mutilated. See, you see stuff like this. The only question, how does it benefit anyone? Does it benefit anyone? Who? And in what way? This benefits nobody. This only makes kids dumb. That's the whole purpose of this, is to make them dumb. And if you shouldn't be comfortable with that. You got dumb animals, dumb creatures, not animals, and their job is to make the students dumb. If you're a true student or a teacher, if you're a true teacher, why don't you feel guilty about miseducating the students? This is under all circumstances, this is miseducation. Like I've said several times, these teachers are supposed to be inside of these schools showing them pictures of pit bulls and saying to them that these are dangerous and you should avoid them at all costs. They are supposed to be doing the exact opposite of what they're actually doing. We're paying our tax dollars so that teachers can teach them that pit bulls are dangerous and to avoid them. That's what they're supposed to be doing. And instead, while we're at work and our kids are at school or wherever, these nutter teachers are doing this. Well, there's no way I could have kids in no public education system. Oh, how is this even possible for Inside Edition to upload a video like this? This was uploaded yesterday. How is this even possible? And for them to not come under any scrutiny, that's the worst part of it. It's not so much that they actually run stories like this. It's the complete absence of pushback. That is what really bothers me. And they're up in here with weapons. They're projecting these weapons that are really worse than weapons, more dangerous than weapons. You know, they talk about AR-15s, but AR-15s are not randomly going off firing at people's kids. You know, they'll talk about how many more people die from gun violence. But these are not unintentional attacks. You know, people getting shot, that generally covers an age demographic. And really, if those people didn't have access to a gun, they'd use some other objects. That's an example where the true problem is the person, the people themselves. With dogs, the problem is the dog itself. It's a lot worse than a gun. These things are more dangerous than guns. When you see a gun across the room, you're safe. The gun not going to run across the room. It's not going to aim and fire at you. A dog will. These are more dangerous than guns. And these people can get up here and prance pit bulls around kids and project them as harmless angels right now, today, right in the middle of all these crazy, bizarre attacks. And they don't suffer any pushback at all. And as you could have predicted, in the comment section is full of pit nutters. Pit nutters. It's enough to make you give up. It really makes you want to give up. Just when you feel like you're getting some momentum, you have stuff like that pops up. Some of you remember the lawyer. This is still available. He got into depth about how pit bulls are actually weapons. And they've been considered weapons under the law in some cases. 3 cases in which deadly weapon charges were filed against dog owners. 45-year-old man charged with violation of the New York gun control law because of his possession of a German Shepherd that attacked 3 patrolmen. A German Shepherd attacked 3 patrolmen, and the law charged him with deadly weapon charges. So what's the difference? When it's a so-called family dog. No, these people, they get off all the time. The youth was charged with child molestation with a deadly weapon, in addition to other charges of criminal confinement and intimidation after using his pit bull to assault a 9-year-old girl. Assault with a deadly weapon. Charged with molestation with a deadly weapon. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your laws refer to these things as weapons and bring them around kids, projecting them as harmless angels at the same time. No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. You talk about playing both sides of the fence. You got lawyers on this side of the fence actually successfully applying dangerous weapon charges to dogs. And then you can look up, and just yesterday, Inside Edition covering a pit bull. Oh, my goodness. There's been several articles written where people argue the same thing, that pit bulls are just like weapons. But you also have articles like this where they tried to say pit bulls are less of a danger than guns. No, they're not. They are more dangerous. And of course, they went on to make this very weak argument. And the only thing they point out is that there are far more people who died from gun violence. Okay, between 2007 and 2011. But again, had those people not had the guns, they would have used some other method. This is a person problem. Whereas these people who get attacked by pit bulls, they're not under the control of no person. They're not under the complete guidance and control of a human. They're thinking on their own. That's a totally different scenario. So this is not really a gun problem. You know, if there were no guns, they'd be replaced with swords. That's when you truly have a person problem, a human problem, a cultural problem, social problem. It's not the weapon, it's the people. But when pit bulls attack, people are getting along. These are just completely unnecessary attacks. Unnecessary, and they do not discriminate in regard to age. And that's a big part of what makes them dangerous. And that's a big part of why they should be banned. That's why they should be banned. The biggest reason. New York Sun also did an article where they said the same thing. Pit bulls are weapons. They're not pets. And this was, I think, back in it's like maybe 2006 this came out. Yeah, 2006. They were trying to argue this back then. They are weapons. They're not pets. For these people to be so arrogant. You mean, and this is a lawmaker who's saying this back in 2006. And you mean just yesterday, 2022, Inside Edition uploads a video like that? It's like, what's the point in bringing out these facts? And pointing them out at all. Pointing out how they violate the law. What's the point in having the laws if they're not enforced? It don't get no more important than that. Making sure these laws are enforced and that people are doing the right thing. So make no mistake, these people, they will say anything in defense of pit bulls, because they're all fully aware that pit bulls are dangerous, and they're fully aware that the people who own them are just as mentally unstable as they are. They've accepted their recklessness, the fact that they are reckless people and dangerous people, and they embrace it, be honest. That's what they get off. That's why they get off on owning these things. It's a bunch of very insecure people, very scary, insecure little weasel-like people who have a hard time bonding with people so would rather terrorize people. I truly don't understand people like that. Why they're so insecure or whatnot. Why they walk around terrified. And the only way they can feel comfortable walking down the street is if they know that everybody that sees them is terrified that they had a pit bull in their possession. You know, that is when your paranoia and your insecurity is overboard. Because now you're doing things that will endanger people. All because you're desperate to make up for some social issue that you have. So people need help. That's the root of this dog culture, this pit bull culture. It comes down to a bunch of people who need serious help. People being raised, misinformed, miseducated, brainwashed, and deceived. Right? So we got a long road ahead of us. But make no mistake, these things are weapons. They're worse than weapons. Worse than weapons. Who ever heard of a weapon that activates itself and even has an age range preference? Any weapon like that, that's far dangerous than any other type of weapon. I mean, this is not even a discussion. A weapon that activates itself and chooses its own victim and prefers targets that are easy, that put up the least resistance. Smaller you are, more likely you are to be a target. A weapon that identifies the weaker and attacks the weaker. No, that's not a debate. Of course, these things are more dangerous than weapons. Shout out to everybody who's able to join me for this live stream. It's pretty nasty here where I live. Hope you all staying safe. They're not taking good care of our roads. I hope they are where you live. We got to put out our own salt, do our own shoveling. Sad case. But now is the time to stay strong, to eat clean, take good care of yourself in nasty weather like this. I'm going to hop on hopefully a little later and continue with this crusade. And I hope you all are able to join me. And I look forward to chopping it up with you all then as we continue with this crusade.